Good morning. Just wanted to start out by just letting everybody know that this is a beautiful Saturday morning, and this is like amazing All Star weekend, and it's a Pro Bowl weekend also. I just want to start with the NHL since it is the All Star weekend, and we seem like we haven't given enough attention to the NHL, and it's one of the premier sports, not only in North America but just around the world. Um, so we have on October 13th, 1947, was the NHL's first All Star game. Okay, and that game it was played at the Maple Leafs Gardens in Toronto, Canada, with Dick Irvin, and this man he didn't really have the best speech or the biggest talk for the first NHL All Star game because he stood in the dressing room thinking of what to say to the players before they go out there and play and glide on the ice. And he had nothing to say at all. You know, the first two All Star games were played in Toronto. That was in 1947 and in 1949. And it featured the best players from around teams against the Stanley Cup champion Toronto Maple Leafs. Because for those of you that don't know, the Toronto Maple Leafs are one of them teams that are classic in the NHL. And they have had a lot of great time playing. Um, People say that hockey was created in Canada. It is more like a Canadian sport, and the other parts of North America and the world have adapted to that and has picked it up. So now in 1947 and 1949, like I said, it was featuring the best players from around other teams in the league, against the Stanley Cup champions Maple Leafs from Toronto. Shout out to them. Um, There have not been an All-Star game in Toronto since 2000. That's 24 years. 24 years ago, and it was special because you know what happened 24 years ago also? One of the great sports legends and icons retired, and he had his jersey. For those of you that don't know, I'm talking about Wayne Gretzky. Wayne Gretzky had his jersey hung in the rafters and his career celebrated after retirement. At that All-Star game in 2000, which is 2000. I got you with the 2000, right? But now, yeah, it was special, and he was there celebrating his retirement, and this was the 50th NHL All-Star game. So that means that they've had 50 of these. They've reached the half-century mark as far as these celebrations go, and this was a big one because Wayne Gretzky is one of the greats in all-around sports, not just hockey, but he's respected in many different leagues. And David Beer was voted the MVP of that game, and it was played in Air Canada Centre, better known as Scotia Bank Arena. Scotia Bank Arena, which is in Toronto, Canada. Great place to visit. It's really nice out there. I've seen it when I was out there some years ago. And the NHL has had many great ones. I mean, greats to ice, like Bruce Gamble. Okay, for those that don't know Bruce Gamble, pretty good guy. Toronto Maple Leaf history. Ron Ellis, Bobby Orr, who some people say is the best defenseman, in the NHL history, period. When Orr was 19 years old, he was wearing jersey number 5, along with representing the Canadians, and Gene Beaulieu, who wore number 4. And they played in this NHL All Star game. And it was excited. They had the crowd really lit, and they were just killing it with excitement from the rushes and their thunderous shots. Unfortunately, after an assist to Norman Ullman on a final goal, Bobby Orr. Oh man, that was a horrible accident. I know some of you probably remember it. It was a clean cut shot, where he broke his collarbone when he was checked by the Toronto's Pete Stemkowski. hmm So imagine that you having a great All Star game and you really performing for the people. You doing what you're supposed to do to have fun. Got it all going, and then this guy at the end of the game, he comes and clean shots you, and then next thing you know, Bobby Orr's out with a broken collarbone for 10 games in the season. Now in 2024, we're going to fast forward a little bit. The 68th NHL All Star game is returning back to Canada once again at the Scotiabank Arena. So if you guys are ready for this, it's going to be something pretty good to watch. A lot is going to be on the table here. Okay. Number one, we have to realize that the NHL All Star weekend here that's been taking place, people had to mostly prepare themselves for it in order to be able to, be ready to perform and get ready for the NHL, the NFL. Good thing the NBA is not going on this weekend because that would just be unfair totally, you know, unfair totally to the people and the fans, you know. Tired of the fans being shortcutted these days because of promotional practices and what's going on with some of these places. Some of these professional teams, they can do a lot better with handling their fan base. But now getting back to things, I want to say that this 2024 All-Star game also is expected to be very competitive. And you have dudes like Sidney Crosby that's ready to go. He was very happy to be selected to his sixth All-Star game, even though he was the third pick. You know, that sixth appearance, I mean, it means everything. I mean, and he hopes that the Colorado Avalanche, Nathan McKinnon, who was one of the captains also, because this is Team McKinnon, can lead their team to an All-Star victory. Because a victory in the All-Star game means a lot. It's not just all play. I know sometimes folks see the guys playing out there and they think that these dudes are just fake, but they can get competitive. These guys compete all season, and what it is they usually see their teammates or other people or, other league pros, and they're happy to play with them, and their celebration, you know what I mean, is going on the ice out there. So that's what makes this All-Star game very, very special. And I'm thinking that this year the NHL brought it back to the player draft. Remember the player drafts, the way that they had it in the NBA when they had Team Curry and Team LeBron, and these dudes, they would pick and create you know their team's roster based upon a player pool of East or West Coast players. It didn't matter which coach you was at because they wasn't calling it the East versus West game anymore in the All Star game. And they only did it three times in the NHL. They did it in 2011, 2012, 2015, and now they're bringing it back for 2024. And for some of you that don't know Team David, who's the other team that's going to be going against Team McKinnon, this is led by, Connor Andrew McDavid. For those of you that don't know Connor David, this guy is the center and the captain of the Edmonton Oilers, and they've been doing great. This man has been killing it all year. But anyway, Connor McDavid says they're excited. They're very willing to play. They can't wait to grace the ice along with some of their other All-Star peers. And they're ready for Team McKinnon and Team McDavid to handle this business because McDavid, Connor McDavid, for those of you that don't know about this man's career, this is his seventh All-Star appearance. He's only second to Wayne Gretzky and Captain Mark Messier. Shout out to him for bringing the New York Rangers a couple Stanley Cups and getting us well known out there. The 90s was beautiful. Oh, yeah. Shout out to Mark Messier all day. New York, baby. Now, they've played in 8. Nathan McKinnon, Matthews, and Nikita Kucherov are on the way. These guys, they have 5 appearances already. Kucherov has been putting in work. Nathan McKinnon and Matthews, you know who these dudes are. You know, Austin Matthews. Just want to say also, Connor McDavid, he won the $1 million prize last night at the 2024 All Star Skills Challenge. And I mean, this dude, he won with a time of 40.606 with 25 points. It's got to be amazing. It's got to be amazing. He was tearing the ice up. Connor McDavid, this guy can just score at will at any time. One of the great ones. One of the great ones out here to demonstrate cold culture. And I mean cold culture because that ice is not warm. It's not like the basketball court or, okay, it can get cold on a football field because you've seen the snow out in Buffalo and in Kansas City. But in hockey and the NHL, it's cold all the time. I'm going to run down to you now the top 10 players to look out for in this NHL game, which is going to take place at 3 o'clock today on Saturday, February 3rd. You can catch your local listings, and more than likely the game may just be on ESPN. Number 10, I'm going to start with and work my way to number 1. Number 10, look out for Leon Draisaitl from the Edmonton Oilers. Okay, he's a teammate of Connor McDavid, so this will be interesting. Good game to go. Cal Connor, Winnipeg Jets. Elias Peterson. Then you have Nathan McKinnon on the Colorado Avalanche. Captain McKinnon, you can refer to him as. He has his own team. And then you're going to have Sidney Crosby. You know who Sidney Crosby is. Such a really great career. And this is the last time you're going to see Sidney Crosby in an NHL All Star game because this is his last one and he is about to retire soon enough. So shout out to Sidney Crosby and the great things that he's done throughout the years. You know, really great career. Nikita Kucherov from the Tampa Bay Lightning. David Pastrnak from the Boston Bruins, who's been playing really awesome. And don't forget that amazing 63-game season they had last year when they won. They broke records right there, record-setting season. And he's not letting the team slack up, as many people thought that they would fall off and that they would slow down. Because David Pastrnak right now, he has 33 goals on the season. That's 33, I said. 33 goals are not easy to score. It takes a lot of banging, clashing, slitting, gliding, swinging, you know, because them pucks, and you're trying to get them in that goal. Woo! And it seemed like this year we had some really good goalies out there. Shout out to Igor Shesternik. New York Rangers. But sticking back to the rest of the list, you're going to have, after David Pastrnak at number 4, your top 3 is going to be William Nylander from the Toronto Maple Leafs, and he just signed a new big lucrative deal. So you know the Toronto Maple Leafs invested in him for a reason, and he's bringing promise. Shout out to William Nylander, and then Connor McDavid himself at number 2 from the Edmonton Oilers, and he's the most exciting player on the ice. Every time he goes out there and graces the skates in the ice and sliding around, you don't know if this man's going to score a goal, he's going to get an assist, what's going to happen. But he is the most exciting right now, I would say, or one of the most exciting NHL players currently in 2024. And the number 1 player to watch out for is Austin Matthews of the Toronto Maple Leafs. He has 40 goals already for this season. I just told you how David Pastrnak has 33 for the Boston Bruins. But this guy here, Austin Matthews, who's also on my fantasy team, and David Pastrnak is as well. These guys are going to play a great game. They're looking to get competitive, and this can get really lit. This is Don Boy 718 just letting y'all know what it is, and check us out online or social media platforms. Tell your people, peace and blessings. We're going to hit y'all up a little later. We're going to have another part to the show talking about the NFL because the Pro Bowl is this weekend also. And for those of you that may have missed some of the highlights from Thursday's high stakes play and watching those wide receivers get busy is pretty awesome. Last night was the Hockey All Star Challenge. And so you guys have a busy weekend, a lot of sports to catch up on. Really exciting. You want to say peace and blessings.